Howdy everybody, it's Amy here from Amy's Sparkly Diamond Painting, and this is a slightly different video. This is not diamond painting, it is a store visit and haul that I got from the Tinsmith's wife that I visited this past weekend. The store is in Comfort, Texas, and I just wanted to share a little bit of stitchy haul and what I found with the shop to let you know what's out there and what they have available in case you are interested in checking them out. I know I was overwhelmed when I got there and saw how much stuff they had. So a very good experience I had with the store and the owners, and everything about it was just amazing. I'm definitely going to go back, but I wanted to show my haul and talk about it a little bit. So the Tinsmith's wife, I got a little business card here. They show knitting, needlepoint, and cross stitch, and indeed they have it all. So I'm going to start with a picture that I'm going to post up here. Now this store is in Comfort, Texas, which is on Interstate 10 to the west of San Antonio in what's called the Hill Country out here in more central Texas, but it's a few hours away from me, so I've never been there before, but I had heard of the store. So when we were at the RC remote control thing with my hubby last weekend, on the way home we were able to make a stop there because they were open on Sunday. So the store is in an old house, and they have several rooms full of all sorts of goodies. So again, they had knitting and tons of it with the big name brands, the companies that I have loved as a knitter, Koigu, Blue Sky Alpaca, many different sock yarns, earth yarn socks, all sorts of yarns like you wouldn't believe. The selection was just amazing. And then needlepoint, they have several needlepoint canvas, but this is where any cross stitchers out there might be interested. They have a ton of different types of threads and silks and everything related to needlepoint, but also useful for cross stitch. And then of course cross stitch, and again, just overwhelming the number of name brands and different items that they had. It was a shock. I didn't take any pictures of the inside because I was just kind of shopping and enjoying myself, and there was a class going on at the time I went, so I didn't want to capture people that didn't want to have their pictures taken, so I didn't take pictures of the inside, but there are plenty out there on Google Maps. If you look it up, you'll see several pictures of the inside of the shop. So here we go. There's the address for you. But they also have email and a website. So even if you don't get out to Comfort, Texas, you can look at their online shop and also email them if you've had trouble finding any threads for any cross stitch or anything. They probably have them. I say probably, I don't want to guarantee everything, but they had an entire room of this house just full of different threads. So really cool place. So can you tell I'm excited? So I also got a free pen. It was my first time going, so neat little pen there. So I started by walking in. I'm going to put these in front of the camera first. And I was expecting cross stitch, but what they had at the front was a lot of knitting. So they have a couple rooms of knitting yarns, and it spilled over into the front of the store. They also had, all their new items and stuff on display, but it took me a while to get past that first room because I am a knitter, and they had a lot of models that were stitched in the store, and one of the things I really like is multicolored knitting with a lot of different stitches. So I started out finding a couple really cool patterns because they had them stitched up there, and I thought my money was going to go to buying some really special yarns to knit these, but I said, self, you have a ton of knitting yarn. You really don't need any more. So I talked myself out of buying the yarn for these, but I'm starting here because when I got home, of course, this one was just calling my name to try out, so I did. And I couldn't stop. So this is a cowl. It's got a twist in it, and it's knitted in the round, and that twist is made by when you join, if you've ever done any knitting in the round, when you join, if you put one full twist in, that twist continues on as you knit it. I know this looks like a disaster right now, and that's because I have 3 different colors of yarn going for this little section here. So that's probably been the trickiest section I've got one more repeat to go. It's seed stitch. Not a fan of seed stitch, but I'm getting through it. Seed stitch or moss stitch is where you do knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. And so you're having to bring the yarn backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, front, back, every single stitch. So it can wear you down. My hand and my arm is actually pretty sore because I started this Sunday. I got through the ribbing at the bottom. And what I did was I just grabbed one color of my yarn here. So this bottom one is kind of a natural fiber. I think it's alpaca blend there, but it's a mixture of long stretches of colors there. So a light brown, a red, and a dark brown. And I thought I'd start there, and I've just been kind of picking colors as I go. So then the next step was these eyelets. So I thought maybe a gray would look pretty there. So I've done that, and then it switches back and forth between that original color there. And then for the third color here, this was an area of stripes up and down, vertical stripes of different colors here, so I just picked a plain white. And then when I got into the seed stitch here, I needed a fourth color, but I'm not the best at blending colors, and I was trying to use what I could grab and reach that was easy to get to, so I picked this other one with reds and a purple. But that leads me to the fifth color because I only have a few more rows of this section, and I'm gonna have to add a color to it. And this was my original thought, another kind of brown, because that dark brown kind of matched in with that. But now that I look at it with the white and everything, I don't know, because this color introduced a purple into it. So I'm torn on what to do for that fifth color. So let me know. That fifth color will be back and forth in stripes. I don't know if you can see that with the glare. This section here, they chose blues. Of course, one of the two will be this color, but I'm not sure what to blend with it for the stripes. But this has been a lot of fun. There's 104 rows on this one. I'm at 38, row number 38 or 39 there. So even though it looks like a lot of knitting, I still got more than half to go. And this has 340 stitches around it. So every row is 340 stitches. So that's been a ton of stitching over the last couple days. I did just a little bit more this morning. I got kind of caught up in this late last night and stepped away, took a break, but I'm on my last repeat of 4 repeats of this. So I should get through the seed stitching here. And if you're curious how I knit continental style. I am left-handed, so I kind of learned by books many years ago before the internet was around. So I can do a little bit knitting here. I'm not sure if this is something that you guys would be interested in learning in the future, because I have some ideas for a pattern that I kind of wanted to design for a scarf and maybe do some tutorial lessons and use that maybe as a Patreon type thing or a Ko-fi, the K-O-F-E site, because YouTube has cut back on our advertising, and as you know, I am now on a fixed income, which is less than what I'm used to. So I may try to find out some ways to do a little bit of making a little money on the side by doing a Patreon type thing or something. But I want you guys to get something out of it if you do decide to support me that way. So I'm trying to come up with a couple patterns that you could get as part of that. So I'm gonna maybe do several different types of crafts. So I've got ideas for a knitting pattern. I could probably come up with a crochet, and diamond painting and cross stitch are kind of the same. So I might come up with a diamond painting / cross stitch. I'm thinking some mini patterns that you could do if you wanted to try the converting a counted cross stitch to diamond painting. So I'll come up with some of those and let you know here coming up soon. So this is how I knit. So you can see this front and back for the seed stitch. It's a little slow. You can really get bogged down on that part. So anyway, I'll stop there. Otherwise I'll just sit here and knit and chat and lose track of what I'm doing here. So that's this pattern here. And then I got another one kind of like that, but more horizontal or more vertical for the stripes, smaller areas going upward instead of this long 340 stitches around thing here. So I thought that was kind of cool. Same idea, lots of different stitches to try. This is the Blue Sky Fibers pattern. But when you buy their patterns, they come in these sheet protectors. They have them all set up in notebooks where you can flip through. They do that with the cross stitch patterns as well. They have them in these sheet protectors and you just flip through all the books. It's a much easier way to look through charts. Okay, so that was the knitting part. And then I started looking around and I found this, the Red Book of Sampler Stitches. And I looked at this one a few times, picked it up, set it down, picked it up, set it down, because it was a little bit pricey. This is a reprint of a book that's been updated, I think in 2021. But this is, where's the author's name here? Eileen Bennett, which is a very well-known stitcher from many years ago. And this is kind of a book here. I didn't count the number of stitches, but it has instructions here for a ton of different types of stitches that are done on even weave, which is cross-stitch fabric, usually linen. But I had an idea with this as well, because as I was going through the store, I was thinking channel stuff I can do for my channel. So the reason I picked this up is because, again, thinking about tutorials and stuff, I'd like to design a band sampler of neat stitches that just go in rows across and maybe teach a different stitch each week on that pattern. We'll see how that goes. I want to do it budget friendly as well, because I know cross stitch can be expensive, especially if you're getting into the linens and silks and all that, but you don't have to do that to learn stitching. You can go to your Walmart and pick up a pack of the really cheap floss and a little hunk of Ida cloth, and you can do the same thing. It just might look a little bit different, but if it's a teaching thing, it shouldn't matter that much. So I thought I'd go ahead and get this and play around with the idea and see what I can come up with to maybe teach some really neat stitches here. So I was excited about that. And also because I'm a full coverage stitcher at times, and I've found this stuff really hard to find online lately. I'm not sure if it's tariff issues or just slow shipment, but this is 25 count Lugana. And I got a half a yard of it, because if you're doing any sort of full coverage stitching like from Heaven and Earth Designs, they're big. They are big. So this is a big hunk here of half a yard of Lugana. And as you can see by the price tag there, let me get back to that, a fat quarter runs only $8.10. So this is a fat half here. So really good prices, but if you've ever looked at these are easy count, the way I prefer it, because every 10 stitches you have a gray line here, and those wash out. Supposedly I hadn't finished one and washed it, but since I do full coverage, it's going to cover those up anyway. So that is my next piece for my next big project, whatever it is. I'm not sure what it is yet. It's just I wanted to have this on hand. So I was trying to be very responsible and just pick out stuff that I could use for my channel or various supplies. I only bought one cross stitch pattern. I'll pull it out here. We have basically 2 more things to go. So I thought this was really cute. This is from Rosewood Manor, and it is an alphabet cross stitch here, and they have a sample here on the back of what you can do. So you can do each one separately or do the entire thing as a banner. But what I thought was cute is for each letter you have a few little pictures that represent the letter, and then you have that letter stitched all over the background in various fonts. They're done mostly with back stitch. So E there for elephant, eagle, egg. That looks like a feather, but I'm guessing that's not. It's got to be something else. And an envelope. So I just thought that this was really cute and had potential for all sorts of things. You could do individual ones here, and these are quilted, made a little puffy, and of course a banner here, but I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with that one. That just happened to be the pattern that I thought was most clever. So all alphabets are in here, as well as this little design of plain old motifs of different types there. So that was my pattern again, Rosewood Manor ABC Tapestry. So I thought I was doing pretty good, and I was about to leave because the class was going on and I didn't want to interrupt the class and all that. And then I walked by one little corner and I found they had some patterns from a particular needlepoint company. And way back in the 90s, many years ago, I had found at a cross-stitch convention that I went to with my sister and my mom on the way to move to San Angelo. So I know it was in 1995. And I found a pattern called Nova that was made with multiple different stitches and colors, kind of like this. So there was a little bit of nostalgia going on, but they had a ton of different patterns from this company, Needle Delights Originals, needledelights.com, Kathy Reese there. But I think it is the same company that did Nova, same designer, and there were several different. So I picked, it was a tough choice, but I picked this one, like I said, partly out of nostalgia and partly because it looked like fun trying to do all the different stitches and the rainbow colors. So I thought, well, let me look at the back, because that's where you get your supply list for these, so you don't have to open the package. And whoa, look at all those different types of threads. So that made it even more exciting, because the previous one I had done was DMC threads, just regular cotton floss. But this one asked for, in the pattern, a lot of these specialty threads. And of course that room was full of specialty threads. So hey, why not? So design size is kind of pillow size, 12 by 12 inches. 216 by 216 stitches, and it uses needlepoint canvas because it is a needlepoint here, so 16 by 16. So I asked, and sure enough they had the needlepoint canvas, but they were out of white. White was hard to find, but since this is full coverage, the background didn't matter. So I got this piece, and they cut it and put the tape over it to protect the edges for me. They did all that. And the needlepoint canvas they sell by the inch. So that's how it works in most stores, I believe. But here is, you can see all the big holes there. That's one of the things that makes needlepoint just slightly different from cross stitch. So you do more diagonals rather than full X's, and you focus more on the little threads between the holes, and the holes kind of stand out more because you got to get those thicker threads through those holes. So that is the canvas for this. And then I started having some fun and that's why I need to do this video and get it up so I can actually start working on this maybe a little bit. So these are the different thread types and brands to get all those different rainbow colors in this. So I thought maybe it was just DMC, but definitely not. So let's look at the threads. Here we go. Here is my big beautiful bag of bright amazing colors here. So I had some fun picking these out. So the first one here is called Watercolors. I've shown this on my somebody's driving by. So I talked about watercolors a little bit when I showed my chatelaine that I've been working on. So this is watercolors threads, very rainbow colored here. So I got those colors that it called for, purples, pinks, greens, oranges. I mean, look at how bright the yellows and oranges are in that one. So really, really pretty. And then of course DMC pearl cotton. I could have bought this at Hobby Lobby here in town, but I went ahead, support your local yarn store. I went ahead and got them while I was there. But here's what I would call maybe the more plain. That's about as plain as you get with this one. So instead of like the DMC cotton, it uses the Pearl 5 cotton because you need something a little bit thicker for that needlepoint canvas. So you don't separate the threads or anything, you just stitch it as it comes. So those bright colors. And then it started getting even more fun, and I probably can't separate all these out, but this first one is called Very Velvet. So let me see if I can pull, well, here you can see it is thin strands of soft velvet. So we have a few colors of that. There's one. So there's probably a couple more hidden in there, but velvet thread, can't wait. And then some of them were the silk lame braid, which is a, hopefully you can see that, it's a braided shiny floss there. Several colors of that. That'll give it lots of sparkle. And then Splendor is a silk brand. I've used a lot of Splendor, even in cross stitch, because this separates out to several small strands there, and it is really nice silk. So I have used this. I don't want to pull all these apart, but you can see the different strands there. This is real silk. So it's got that nice silk sheen to it. I love Splendor. So I got some of that. And I got everything that was called for on this. Then there was something called Frosty Rays, which is almost like a tulle. So it's kind of a see-through ribbon there. Never used that before. That'll be interesting to see. This is the petite version of Frosty Rays, since this is 18 count for the canvas. I don't need the thick stuff. So we'll see how that works. Here's a couple more colors of the Splendor, Silk Lame. This one is called Fireworks. And this is more metallic, and it's used as one strand. But hopefully you can see that there. Kind of a braided ribbon-like, thin ribbon metallic there. So lots and lots of sparkle with that one. Let's see what else we have. Another Very Velvet, more Splendor. There's another Neon Rays. Look at how shiny that is. Silk Lame. Okay, here's more Neon Rays. So Neon Rays is kind of this shiny ribbon as well. It's kind of ribbon-like. You use the full strand, but it looks almost like it can come apart into strands, but really that's just the edge fraying. It's kind of a webbed ribbon, so you use it just as it comes on there. So we have some of that. And then Neon Rays Plus, and these this company is made in Japan, but they all tell you on the front here. So if you're picking your own threads for a needlepoint or something, it'll tell you at the top what count it is good for. Cross stitch 11 to 22, needlepoint 13 to 18. I can't imagine using this on 22 count, but it's also a ribbon with shiny on there. And I think that's all the different types. I just have a few more colors in here. So the Neon Rays, and then some Neon Rays Plus, and another Fireworks. I did have to substitute just a couple of colors, maybe just one that they were out of for one of them. I think I ended up picking the same color as a Splendor just because I know it well. I think it was one of the Neon Rays or something that they were out, but it was only one color. So I didn't feel, I could have ordered it online. I could have waited and had them order it for me and let me know when it came in. But I ended up just going with the Splendor to make sure I had absolutely everything I needed to start this right away. So I do here. So that was my fun of delving into all their colors and shinies. But I love the way the store was organized. They had different rooms for different crafts. So all their specialty threads, that was one room. They had their needlepoint kind of mixed in and somewhat in another room. They had 2 full rooms of cross stitch. I mean, it was overwhelming. All the different brands, all the different designers, a lot of reproduction stuff, as well as little ones, big ones, modern, antique, everything you could imagine. And they were all set out in notebooks so you could flip through and look through. And they had a lot of them sorted by designer, so if there's a certain favorite designer you have, you could find them. And the store owners were really helpful. Even though they had a class going on, they had enough employees there that the class did not detract at all from shopping there, because I was able to get the help I needed, because I did need some help finding some of these different threads and where they were located. So they helped me out, even though they were busy, had plenty of help there. And of course the knitting yarn as well was just overwhelming. So that was my haul. I'm really excited about it. I really want to get this one at least started or looked at or something. You get one more close-up look there. And you can see all the different stitches and yarns coming through, or threads, ribbons on that. But I'd really like to try stitching with some of these unusual threads. So that was my personal goodie for me. And then this as well. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. And then of course my fabric there. But for the channel, I think I will come up with something using some of the sampler stitches here and in other sources, and maybe do a row a week type little tutorial on that. And I'm not sure if any of you are really into knitting or crocheting, but I definitely can do that as well and come up with some patterns. So great time I had at Tinsmith's Wife. I'd definitely go back. I don't have a local yarn shop or needlework shop out here, so I've been using the Silver Needle. They are cross stitch, so that's where I go. They are in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I've gone there for years because they were my local needlework store back in the early 90s, and they're continuing to stay open. They have a huge website, easy to shop online, so that's why I go back there for that. But now that I've found this store, I will probably be going just a little bit more local and contacting them when I need certain threads or yarns or something I can't find, or just need a good day of shopping. So that was my fun for the weekend. Hopefully you found something interesting in here. So there's a couple things you can let me know in the comments. What type of crafts would you like to see me give patterns or design patterns, maybe for a purchase type thing? Are you into knitting or crochet? Typically for my knitting, I don't do sweaters. I only knit things that don't need sewing. So I do socks, shawls, scarves. I don't like to sew after I'm done, so I can do those kind of things. And then of course the sampler stitches idea. And one last look here, because I've been really enjoying this. I think it looks pretty cool. But here is, I don't want to lose where I am here. Here is that knitting project so far. So I know this video is a little bit different, but I've got a little more time to play around with added content. I'm not taking away any diamond painting stuff. I'm just adding to it as I have more time available. So thanks for watching, and if you're in the neighborhood or checking out online, check out the Tinsmith's Wife. I was really happy to find that store. So thank you for watching.